Joey Matterhorn live podcast. I believe we're having a little bit of technical difficulties from Cody's
I think I'm
side
here.
here, or maybe it's mine and it just looks to me like he's having an issue. You are here, but you more pixels than Minecraft right now.
More pixels than Minecraft. Minecraft has a lot of pixels, man. Can you at least hear me?
That's what I'm telling you. Yeah, I can hear you. You hear all right? Yeah.
Oh hell yeah! Well, if you can hear me, there's that at least.
At least
I
that.
will say, game plan this week is to most definitely be upgrading the streaming device that we're working with here. That is a pretty high priority for us today.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I
Well,
plan
hey,
to
hey,
I'm
hey!
gonna be doing the same here soon. Was things looking a little better?
Yes, yes, yes. But all right, let's get some links out. Let's do the whole thing. And how are you doing, Jordan? Honestly.
I am doing pretty well, Cody. Just spent a nice weekend up north with the family. Headed on down. I got this week and then one day next week and then my vacation starts. So like we are on countdown.
That is
Um,
actually super cool. You've planned this vacation for a while now. Your brother's getting married, right?
yes. Yep.
Which is super sick. Congratulations.
Um,
Snaps for marriage.
yeah. Yeah. Love is in the
are
air.
you are you gonna go out there and you're gonna meet one of the bridesmaids? Are you gonna get set up? Is that the hope here? Fingers crossed.
Well, maybe I lost 60 pounds.
Hell yeah. Which I mean, more props than anything else. I think we followed the props of like the Joey Matterhorn Good Rep Media thing is like follow Jordan's weight loss journey as he prepares for this wedding. Like it's the background story of everything we've done. I'm
Yeah.
kind of here for it though, because honestly, like, I mean, that's the good vibes more than
Yeah.
anything else.
Yeah, it's an accomplishment. It feels really good. I've officially I know we've kind of talked about it a bit. My goal
Mhm.
was to lose 60 pounds before the wedding. I started at 260. I wanted to get down to 200. Yesterday I did my weigh-in and I was at 200. So hit my goal yesterday. Was super excited. Weighed myself again this morning, 199. So we're still going. The ball don't stop.
Holding it strong. Honestly, dude, like that's kind of insane. I think I really appreciate it because you came into it with an idea of like, I'm going to accomplish this goal, and you did your thing worked, and you've now accomplished your like it. It's very like A to B. You
Yeah.
did the thing, but also like major props. Not many people can do that thing. Like it's a really difficult thing to do.
Well, when you have like something that can motivate you, like a mirror, and you see yourself every day, it becomes a lot easier. It was one of those things that like once the ball's rolling, like it's almost hard to stop doing it. Like I did like a cheat
Hmm.
weekend while I was up north with my parents, and even then I was like, while I was eating things that I wasn't supposed to be eating, I was kind of like, I don't even know that I want to eat this right now.
Yeah.
It just naturally becomes a little easier as you go.
Well, and I found especially this year because I feel like our friend group we've mentioned this on the pod before, but we've all went into this year of like, hey, let's work on improving ourselves in whatever way that we can, and we've all done different things, but all of the things that we've done are all kind of societally recognized as like great, and it makes you feel good to do them. Like you're
Hmm.
losing weight and getting healthier, like that's awesome. There's not a single person out there who's going to look at that and be like, what are you doing? Why are you doing?
Yeah,
Like
why
you
would you do
receive nothing but that positive human praise.
that?
And
Hmm.
I mean, I've compared it to like I quit nicotine this year, and I'm like, quitting nicotine, no one, like, I go into the smoke shop and people are like, you quit nicotine? Hell yeah, man, like awesome, good for you. Like no one is upset about quitting nicotine, and that's like a really great feeling.
Yeah,
Like you're right, it is difficult to it isn't as difficult to fall off, it's almost difficult to not keep going. Like it would
yeah,
be difficult to stop.
yeah. It was funny. I told my mom like when we were talking about because like a little over a year ago I was at an engagement party out there for the like a
Mhm.
year before the wedding, and that was like one of the moments where like I saw the photos from it and I was like, I can't look like that when the actual wedding happens. And
Yeah.
I was around a bunch of people who like it's out in LA. It's a bunch of people that I'd never really met before. I only knew my brother's fiance. I didn't know her entire family out there, so
Mhm.
like they only know me like from that one experience of like being that big. And like me and my mom were joking, like they probably won't even recognize me. They'll think like, oh, I didn't know Brian had two brothers. Like, why wasn't this one at the engagement party? And then
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
like
yeah. And
like there's
it's almost like you're like almost looking forward to showing off, but
yeah,
not even
yeah. Well,
necessarily like
it's like
showing off, but also like just being perceived as
yeah,
like, hey,
yeah.
I made this advance.
I had said this to her. It was like I did this for me. I did this because I
Mhm.
want to look better. It's not for people to be like, hey, like, oh my God, look at what you did and all that. But on that same note, like I desperately need them to do that.
Well, and like the positive reactions make it so much easier, and
Yeah.
like the sense of community surrounding these types of things. Like I remember as a kid, my parents, so both my parents smoked. My
Hmm.
dad was able to quit, and he quit cold turkey and was able to make it work. My mom wasn't. And that whole situation stems from the fact that he had a support network surrounding him that were all like, hey, good job for quitting smoking. And my mom did not have a support network, and everyone around her still smoked.
Yeah.
And that was one of the issues, is like the environment that she found herself in. And it had to do with like her workplace. When you go in and you work at a bank, the only break that you get is going outside and going to smoke. So she, of course, wanted to continue smoking because, like, corporate America, all of that, working in an office. I remember when we were, so backtrack here, we all worked in an office together. We all existed in the same area. We were all in cubicles. Joe would be down the hall from us. And we had smokers in the office, and it was standard every hour for the smokers to kind of get up and go out to the really nice deck that we had and go smoke. And Jordan, you were never a smoker.
No.
I know you've expressed the like, oh, okay, everyone's going out to smoke. I want to go take my break too.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we were able to do that. I don't think anyone ever got upset. Okay, you're not a smoker. What are you doing taking a break? But I
Yeah.
know that was a thing for
Well,
people.
we were lucky enough. We were in an office that it was like, even if it wasn't going out there for smoking, if it was like, hey, I just need to go get a breath of fresh air. Like if you just need
Yeah.
to take 3 or 4 minutes to step outside, you could do that. As long like one of the things I love about our company is like yes, there is like an accountability of like, hey, make sure you are working consistently, but the main level of accountability is like, hey, did the work you needed to do get done? You know,
Yeah.
and there's something to really appreciate about that.
Yeah, and I was watching some content over the weekend having to do with like management styles and like the different types of managers there are, because this is something that I struggle with. And honestly, good little bit of segue here, the types of people that make good marketers. That's our topic today. We wanted to kind of dive into, hey, if you are this type of person, maybe look at social media marketing, maybe look at affiliate marketing, maybe look at these like problem solving things that you can do in marketing. But for me personally, I have been a doer for a majority of my time in marketing. I, unspoken benefit of smoking is unlimited breaks at work. 100%. I saw
Mhm.
you start laughing. I'm like, okay, what was the comment? 100%. Unlimited breaks at work is the whole reason that we smoke. Like, honestly, in corporate America, that, not kidding. So if you work for a bank, the only way you would get breaks from the phones working in a call center is if you have a smoke break, because you can't smoke and do that anymore. So of course you're going to build up a smoking habit. I will say a lot of people think that people in restaurants smoke so that they can get breaks. It's a lot more difficult as a server to go get a break for a smoke. Like, I'll be real, I did a lot more vaping in bathrooms than going outside. But hey,
I always like the restaurant. I mean, I've never worked in a restaurant, so like I don't know, but I always took it as like the cooks were the ones out back smoking all the time. You know, that's what I always pictured. People in aprons, you know, out there just
mhm,
behind the dumpster, just ripping darts. You know.
just ripping darts, just straight ripping darts, man. Oh, don't let her Kenny me right now. But it is that, the thing is, so you, restaurants are crazy. They really have this view of like, okay, the back of house is the bear. You have everyone going out into the back alley and bearing their heart and soul while they flick darts around. 100%. And then the front of house is a bunch of, customer service people who are all hitting their fruity colored vapes, and it kind of is like that. I don't know a single server in any of my serving jobs that smoked cigarettes. They all vaped, all of them. I don't
I
i
mean,
don't know
like
one that
think
didn't.
think about this, and like I'm not trying to get into any topic of like, anything we've talked about in tips in the past, but like you don't want to smell like a big cigarette serving your table, like
Yeah. Well, and
it can hurt.
it's a very different environment in general, but I to Sarah's point, restaurants are extremely stressful places, and it's no surprise that people in there smoked. The most successful servers are undiagnosed ADHD, and the nicotine helps them like medicate that almost. And so they stop smoking while they're serving so that they can use their ADHD superpower to remember that you need ranch. Like just remember that. uh
That's funny.
but with that said, getting into like management styles and stuff like that, I've always been a doer when it comes to marketing. I started writing emails, doing outreach for link building and SEO. I've written content and done pages. I've gone in and built web pages myself. And that transition to being like management has been almost miserable for me because I am not in there actually doing things. I'm chatting with people about getting them done. And I think that's a really interesting dichotomy. How do you experience that, Jordan? Like on the other end of it?
I'm sorry, I was reading the comments.
Oh, we got good comments. Front of house, back of house. What do we got? Back in the day when I started smoking, it didn't matter if you smelled like a cigarette because there were 100. Oh my god! Did you ever go to restaurants, Jordan, with smoking sections? You had to have,
I
right?
mean, yeah, when we were young, like, yeah,
Do you
they
remember them though? Like, do
not
you have a
super
memory of it?
well. Like, I mean,
Okay.
kind of. I remember more bars, being like super smoky and everything, but like restaurants not as much. Um,
See, I
I
have
mean, my
core
parents
memories
my
of
parents
Russ's.
both smoked cigarettes when I was really, really young, like pre fourth
Mhm.
grade, and so like I probably around that age wasn't noticing it, and then when my parents quit smoking cigarettes, like I feel like my mom I know hit a moment where like all of a sudden it was like once she quit smoking, she couldn't be around cigarette smoke without like feeling gross, and
Mhm.
so like I'm sure whenever I was anywhere with her, which I spent much more time with my mom, my dad was, like a third shift Ford auto line worker. And so, like, he was not with us a lot. Like, whenever I was with my mom, she would go anywhere where the cigarette smoke wasn't, so I
Yeah.
probably wasn't around it nearly as much.
See, and I when I grew up, my mom was definitely a smoker. My dad quit smoking relatively young, so that's 100% there. But I remember going to like Russ's as a kid, and Russ's had their smoking section, the one that we would go to with my grandma. Their smoking section was right next to the entrance. So like you had to go in and like while you were waiting, the smoking section was right there. And it was like a
What a
little
bad place
glass
to live.
partition that went halfway up the wall. Like
I
it
have to
wasn't even a
imagine that
wall between
glass
you
was
and the
like
smoke.
stained yellow.
Yeah, exactly. And
Like,
it was I was just amazed. And I remember because we'd go to this Russ's all the time with my grandma. Uh just yeah, there wasn't even a wall. It wasn't even a full wall, and you had to walk by it to get past the restaurant. It always smelled.
put it like to put the smoking section. I mean, like, and I'm not trying to like attack smokers, but like it should be as far away from where
Oh
people
yeah, 100%.
possibly
It
go as
shouldn't.
possible.
The fact that there is a smoking section in a restaurant is just kind of crazy. Like that, we had smoking so pervasive, and I've seen some stuff. Um, there's one famous picture of all of the tobacco executives like standing in front of Congress, and they're all swearing on the Bible that nicotine is not addictive. All of them. They're just hands in the air, and it's like Joe Camel and all of the nicotine suppliers, all the tobacco companies are like hand in the air, swearing on the Bible. Nicotine's not addictive. Nicotine's not bad for you. And it's like, that didn't age well. That did not age well at all. Christian, you feel
He doesn't
attacked.
feel attacked. He doesn't smoke cigarettes. Don't let him do that. He's gonna love
Jordan,
it.
one sec, Jordan. We've gotten in
He
trouble a couple of
basically
times for you calling out some of our
no,
viewers.
I
Is
know
this, are
this
you, do you know
person.
this, Christian?
This person is my best friend. He has smoked cigarettes, but he doesn't actively. He may go through a phase where he does it now and then, but he always ends up quitting. And sometimes like most recently it is more vaping than it is cigarettes, and even that I think he has actively quit.
Hell yeah.
Good for him on that.
Props. I like it again. Props. Anyone who can quit nicotine, 10 out of 10, man. I I was not a cigarette smoker. That's one thing that I'm thankful of is I never smoked cigarettes.
Yeah.
But also I started by smoking hookah, which you know hookah, right?
Yeah.
For the audience that may or may not know hookah, hookah is basically a giant glass water pipe. You put a bunch of tobacco leaves that are covered in like a glycerin jam blend into a pipe, and then you basically cook it with a coal and you suck it through a water pipe. Um, very tasteful, awful, very, very, very bad for you.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Isn't it
worse
like
than
1 hour of
I don't know
hookah
if it's
was like
worse
a
than cigarettes.
pack of cigarettes or something like that? I thought I saw like an hour of hookah was like a pack of cigarettes.
Oh yeah, it's not good. And the thing was, I would chain smoke hookah like
Yeah,
all night
like
long.
people who do hookah do a lot of hookah. Like
Yeah.
they'll go and they'll sit there for like 4 hours and just like have
Well,
the
and
TV on a beanbag. Just
it depends on the scenario too. So the reason I got super into hookah was I enjoyed it first of all, but I also really enjoyed the community surrounding it. And so what would happen, like I worked at a hookah lounge. It was one of my favorite like jobs that I've worked, even though I ended up in knife fights and shot at and stuff like that. Like that was my sketchiest job by far. But we would work those nights, we'd work those days on like Sunday. And I remember specifically when Game of Thrones season 8 was coming out, we would sit there and like we'd work our shift and we would watch Game of Thrones. Like I had regulars that would come in and we put a big screen TV. We turned all the music down on Sundays and we would just watch Game of Thrones and smoke hookah as a group. And it was more like the community aspect than anything else. And I'm realizing this the more and more as I age. Every human just wants community. You don't what's the meme? You don't need a goth baddie. You need, a sense of fulfillment and some community. Like
and a goth
go out
baddie.
and touch grass and talk to people.
I'll take a sense of community and a goth baddie, please.
You're like those are not mutually exclusive.
Yeah. Like,
I'll do both.
One doesn't exclude the other. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. But I did want to touch on this. Sarah mentioned doctors used to recommend cigarettes.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Doctors have recommended a lot of absurd and crazy shit in their lives, or in their history. But it comes from a place of like that's where their knowledge is at. Because I know doctors have also recommended like coke, like just cocaine, like go do cocaine. Here is heroin. Here are all of these things. Asbestos.
Heroin was in everything back in the day. Dude,
yeah. Oh, it's just a pick me up. Just do a little bit of heroin. Do a little bit of cocaine. Do a little. Oh my goodness.
I think it was more like sedative than it was a pick me up. The cocaine.
Well, whatever it was. I don't know enough about any of these drugs, man. I'm as straight and narrow as they come. But it's the idea of like these doctors were really just seat of your pants, doing as much as they could.
It's funny.
And you got to respect it, but also you got to be like, yo, maybe this is some crazy shit.
You and I both know a lot of people in hospitals. You through your significant other, me through, like my family or my friend Colton. And he was telling me, he's like, yeah, he's like something to know about doctors. Like, yeah, you should trust a doctor when they tell you things because they're doctors and like they do know more than you. But he's like, also, doctors are people with a job and they're just doing their job. And I know a lot of people who are really bad at their job.
Yeah.
And it's like, he's like, they have a degree, and like I'm like, yeah, I have a degree too, but like I don't know that the knowledge I got in my degree, I was so half-assed through college, and I get that like a medical degree is probably a lot harder to do that, but I bet there are people who are slipping through with like that same work ethic and becoming a doctor.
Yeah,
that's a scary thought.
I mean, the thing is, there's always the worst doctor, there's always the person at the bottom who passed medical school. They passed medical school.
Yeah.
Like they have a medical degree just like everyone else, and those people exist. You can't really hell, it's they can practice medicine, but that also doesn't mean that you should necessarily trust them. And I think Sarah makes a good point. Doctors do make money off of recommending things, and sometimes that's illegal. Like one of the mass tort what are they called, offers for pain meds. What is it? I can't remember.
I don't know. I don't know any of the tort offers. I didn't even.
Um,
I don't like. I barely know what tort meant. Like I was always
oh,
doing phone screens.
let's hit that first. So when I say tort, it has to do with lawsuits. So for example, if there's a mass lawsuit against Johnson and Johnson is one of the big ones for talcum powder. So talcum powder caused cervical cancer in women. So if you have a certain type of cancer, you qualify, you can be part of this lawsuit, and you get paid by Johnson and Johnson. So tort is an offer that finds those people who have that specific type of cancer. The goal is to find all of those people and get them paid. If you find one of those people and you bring it to this company and they get paid, you get paid a small percentage of what they get. So everyone who's gotten cancer from this mass tort, say they get 10 grand, the lawyers who fought for the mass tort, they might get a third of that. I think they cap out at like 25% of the lawsuit total or something like that for
Mhm.
lawyers. So they get their paycheck and then you get your paycheck from what the lawyers would get. So the lawyers, instead of getting 25%, they're paying you 5% for bringing it to them. And because they're lawyers, they get the 20%. They have to go file the paperwork and they have to add them to the lawsuit.
Yeah.
So that's a mass tort is you find those types of lawsuit. Pain meds is one of those. There's a bunch of docs about this online on Netflix. I mean, hell, there was a really, really popular one that came out somewhat recently about the pain med epidemic. But that was reps of these pain meds companies going out to doctors and being like, prescribe our medicine. It'll get people addicted and we can sell more of our medicine. I just can't remember. Like, was it Xanax? I don't want to say it was Xanax, but it was something like that.
Yeah. I mean, I remember that there was like a movie about like
Opioids.
Vicodin.
It was
Yeah.
a bunch of the opioid epidemic.
Yeah. I
But
think like the main one they were focused on was Vicodin. I think if I remember
maybe
correctly.
I don't know enough about
Yeah.
those types of things. I've never been a pill person.
Yeah. Yeah. I try to avoid them. Like even when I'm prescribed them, I'm like, nah, this
Yeah.
I don't like this.
Well, and I'll be real. I think we're at the perfect intersection of our generation where like pills were really popular leading up to us, and then education about pills started coming around with us. And so like I remember as a young teen being told like pills are worse, like they're the worst possible thing that you can get into. Like, okay, if you're smoking something you're probably fine, but if you're taking a pill that's not yours, you might as well just give the devil everything.
Yeah,
Like
and
that
it's
was my mindset
like
growing up.
it's at that level of like you can die doing it like one time. You know,
Yeah.
like you do too much of it one time, you can die. Where it's like smoking, like you could smoke an entire pack, you could chain smoke an entire pack for your first time, you'll probably puke, you know, but
Yeah.
like you're not gonna overdose and die.
Do
Um,
you did you watch King of the Hill growing up?
no. But I do know that I know the Bobby scene where he makes him smoke like an entire pack of cigarettes or like a
That
carton or
I
something.
will say that is a core memory for me. I 100% remember watching that scene after school because King of the Hill would come on. I want to say it came on at like 4 or something like that, 4 or 4:30. It's like that 70s show, King of the Hill, and then The Simpsons all in a row, and I would watch them after school.
King of the Hill. I didn't understand the humor of it growing up. Like I didn't get that like you weren't really supposed to like Hank, really. Like that he was supposed to be kind of like this like annoying main character that like,
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
and
they're all flawed, and I
yeah,
think that's like it's like the Always Sunny almost, but not that
but like
bad.
not bad people. Like or at
Yeah.
least like they're a little judgmental, I'll give them that, but they're not like out to like actively like selfishly gain or anything like that.
Yeah, I think that's the point is they're good people but with bad like bad habits, bad
Yeah.
thoughts. They act very human and they act very Texan with the like, hey, we've got big hearts. People are people, but we're going to be dumb and ignorant and loud about it. And they are. They're
Yeah.
dumb and ignorant and loud about it, but their hearts are also big. And I really appreciate that, especially going back now because I will say I've been rewatching it a little bit on the side and some of
Like the
those
old
episodes
stuff,
still
like
hit.
you've been rewatching like the old stuff, not just like watching the
Yeah.
new stuff coming out.
Yeah, I started rewatching a couple of years back. I started at season 1 and I got through like 5 seasons and I started again from season 6, and I'm like halfway through season 6, and I want to say there's like 15 seasons before the newest one. So like I've got a lot to catch up on. But I am watching like the older stuff that aired in early 2000s.
Yeah.
And it's, I mean, some of it really holds up. Some of it doesn't. Some of it is, there's definitely some problematic things, as with anything you get when you watch old media. Some of it's going to be bad. Some of it's really like on the nose, but some of it's also like very good
Mhm.
and interesting takes. I'm thinking of an episode where John Redcorn is working with Dale Gribble to petition the government to get land back for his tribe. And it's just interesting how they go through it, and it looks at how he, like John Redcorn, feels about the whole scenario. The government offers him like 12 acres of really shitty land, and he's like offended because he should be offended, and it's right to be offended. But he ends up taking the land because he's getting free land, and he's going to relocate and be able to use it, and blah 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 blah. And it's just a realistic look at like, hey, this is a real problem. This
Mhm.
land was stolen. There's no question about it. Is it comedic? Does Bobby get really into it? And you're like, Bobby, my dude, come on,
Yeah.
you're not here. And then do they dive into the fact that the tribe previously 600 years ago used to be cannibals? Like, yeah, they do. Is it comedic a little bit? Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
also like, hey, the real problem, real
So
family stuff.
let me ask you this: 25 minutes into the episode,
Oh,
do we think Hank Hill would make a good marketer?
I think Hank Hill made a pretty good marketer.
Yeah.
This is honestly this is a good question. So there is good things and bad things about Hank Hill, and I'm going to draw this parallel to the episode where Hank is selling propane to the Renaissance Fair. So Hank Hill is attempting to go to Renaissance Fair, who has a giant dragon that breathes fire, and he's trying to sell them propane instead of natural gas from Fatherton Fuels. Fatherton Fuels is like, hey, we want this account. So Hank goes up and he's like, okay, I'm going to get into it. And this is where what makes Hank a good marketer. He's willing to dress up for the Ren Fair. He's willing to commit to the bit for the Ren Fair. And he's willing to kind of go all out to make this deal happen. And he goes so far as to get his wife made into a, what is it, a wench of some kind, a cleaning wench or something like that. He's like, Peggy, being Peggy, she's very abrasive, very strong personality, stands up to the king and is like, "Hey, I'm doing all of this. I'm a teacher." And the king is very much like, "We are in the 1500s. I don't need to pay my workers anything, and there is no overtime laws, and you all work for me, wenches." And he's obviously breaking a bunch of labor laws and being super shitty. But Hank dives in, he makes those sales, and he does the gray hat thing of like, "Okay, my wife is here. She's gonna work for this king." And she's going to put in time. And so I think he's good. That overall,
Yeah.
I think he does some good things, but he's
So
not perfect.
So when we dive into our topic here of what makes a
Yeah.
marketer a good marketer, for me a big thing about it is like it's one of those situational, like it's a circumstance that's very situational, because it's like I think a lot of people could be a very good marketer depending on what it is that they are marketing. Hank
Yeah.
Hill is a great marketer for propane because he believes in propane. he
Yeah.
he sees the product as a superior product, and he wants to go out there and spread that word.
Yeah.
You know,
And I want to, sorry, not to interrupt you here, but I want to pause because one of the things that makes Hank great marketing for propane is he has blinders on in regards to propane.
yeah,
If you've watched King of the Hill, you know Strickland Propane is an awful business. The guy who owns it is an awful, awful person and an awful boss. But Hank doesn't let that get to him. He doesn't even think about it. He loves propane. He
yeah,
loves his job. And so he's focused on just his job, regardless of whether or not this other crap is going on around him. And he's constantly picking up after his boss because he loves propane. And that, more than anything, that mindset of like, I'm going to do this shit, like, I think that's necessary for
yeah.
sales 100%.
So I to move it over to like real
Yeah.
world, like my experience, like when I was a marketer in a bathroom showcase,
Hmm.
and like my job was to promote bathtubs and like convince people to spend north of $12,000 to have a bathtub put
Yeah.
into their place. And it's like, I live in an apartment.
Hmm.
Like I had no ties to it whatsoever. So like it was hard for me to be passionate. Like our product was decent. It wasn't like the best thing you could go out and get, but it was priced like it was, and the main reason it was like it had a good warranty behind it. It was like
Yeah.
anything that you are unhappy with or breaks or chips or anything like that for an entire lifetime, we'll get out there and we'll replace, or refund anything that we have to.
Hmm.
That was what I clung to from my marketing standpoint, because that was the one thing that I did believe in from our company. So
Yeah.
like that was my pitch the entire time, where it was like, listen, like it's a big expense, but like imagine you have to replace your bathtub 4 more times in the house that you're in for over the rest of your life. It's going to cost more than this tub is going to, because we're providing you with this warranty behind it.
Yeah.
It was just and that was 1,000% better than if I tried to be like, oh yeah, we use L brackets behind and we double seal them to make sure the water doesn't get out. It's like, I don't, whatever. I don't know plumbing. I can sit here and talk to you about it a little bit, but like that's not the value I see. The value I see is
Yeah.
in this warranty. And then like they tried to give us a script, like, no, this, follow this script, do it how we want you to do it, pitch these parts of it. And it's like now my conversions are going way down, because you're not letting me promote where I see the value. And
Yeah.
I think you run into that with a lot of people in marketing situations who are like, I want a job as a marketer, but I'm going to take any job I can get as a marketer, and now I'm promoting something that I don't believe in. Like, could you imagine like if like I got offered a good position at like Marlboro, going back to the smoking conversation. It's like
Yeah.
I don't like cigarettes. Like I could be a good marketer for something I believe in, but am I going to give it my best to, get out here and give these things I don't believe in? No. Like you got to be in the right position. I think that's a major part of being a good marketer.
Yeah, and I think it is really, really important that you have the knowledge and understanding of your product. So I'm not opposed to scripts. If you're going to come out here and have a script, make up a script. But the people who are working off of those scripts need to understand the context of the script and why those things are important. So like, okay, using the example of the bath place, your selling point being the replacement is awesome. You can't see another selling point because you don't have the service. You've not been able to experience the service. You don't know the benefits of the service. And all they're doing is telling you. They don't show you. They're not here like, "Hey, here is the install of the toilet. Here is the install of the bath. Here's how it all works and functions. You can swap this part out for this or this." Like I'm imagining going through a show floor and you're looking at all of these different examples and like great, but you don't get to use them, you don't get to experience them, and it's really, really hard to sell something when you haven't used it.
Yeah.
I compare it to being a server, and when someone is like, hey, what's good on the menu, and I can tell them because I've tried everything on the menu. And I'm remembering like I'm working at Olive Garden, whenever we had new wines come in, whenever we had new drinks, whenever we had new dishes added to the menu, we tried them. It was our like specifically out of our way. We didn't pay for it. No one made us pay. It was, hey, we have a new wine. We're going to be offering this for the next couple of weeks. We've got like a new case of bottles, whatever it might be. Everyone come try the wine so you know what it's like. This is what we recommend you pair it with. So to pair it, we also have mozzarella sticks here for you to try. And they go out of their way to have you try the thing. So you have real recommendations when people ask. And I think that's hugely important. Using propane, Hank is out there using propane all of the time to
Mhm.
cook, to do everything. So he knows it in and out. And I think that's more important for any type of marketer is that you actually care about what you're marketing.
Yeah.
Hugely important. Otherwise, you're not going to have buy-in on the brand. You're not going to
Yeah.
care about the success. And I think that's something a lot of people run into.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I have another example where it was like I did AT&T phone sales like in stores and stuff for a while, and it was like I'm a Verizon customer. Like I have a Verizon phone. Like
Hmm.
it's hard for me to sit here and like pitch the beautiful things about AT&T when I'm sitting here with a Verizon phone in my pocket,
See, but I'm gonna draw this parallel over to Shady Rays.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
not really hard for you to market Shady Rays, is it? You feel pretty confident whenever you talk about Shady Rays
So
because they've given you a
I'm gonna
great
interrupt you real
product.
quick here. I'm the king of interruptions. I'm about to interrupt you. All right. I don't have to sell Shady Rays. Shady Rays sell themselves. All right.
Exactly. Exactly my point here, where you've had an interaction with a product that is extremely nice. You had no negative interactions. And so it's really, really simple to recommend that to anyone where you're like, hey, yeah, it's $50 for a pair of sunglasses, but let me tell you how I've bought one pair and I've had it replaced twice. And if I would have bought in the pair from Walmart, that's $60 in sunglasses. I've got a
Mhm.
higher product quality product, and you can use that. That is a story that you have that you can tell people
Yep.
actively, and that's better than anything that you could get from a bath place that you've
First,
never actually used the bath with.
firsthand experience will always go 1,000 times farther than a hypothetical scenario will. You can sit
Well,
here and be like, well, maybe this could happen or this could happen, or you could be like, hey, this is what has happened.
mhm,
And like which one is going to mean more as a consumer to you? You know?
yeah. And I will say I like the technical demonstrations. I like being able to see stats. So Good Rep as a small business marketing agency, I'm able to show off a bunch of stats. I'm like, hey, we've worked with a lawn care company who's gotten over 200 calls this year from us. That's it. Boom. I can show you those stats. They've gotten this much traffic. I can show you an esthetician that's gotten this. I can show you a massage therapist who's gotten this. And those are real stats that we can actually look back on and be like, hey, so Good Rep has provided some really great services to some really phenomenal clients. And I can feel confident offering those services to other people. I can feel confident talking to people because we've done it before.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons that we can come out here and hop on a podcast, hop on these channels and go live to talk about these things is we feel confident in our success. And
Yeah.
I like that a lot. I feel pretty good about that.
Absolutely. I do too. I do too. So, I guess, if we're to look at like qualities, like yeah, we've talked about like the importance of like the scenario around a marketer that makes a marketer good at what they do. Like what are some qualities like that you think would go well for being someone in a marketing position? Trustworthiness or like confidence, um,
I I think the
sincerity.
biggest the biggest skill sets for a marketer, if you're going to be jumping into a brand new marketing role, a marketing coordinator role, a social media role, you need to have the ability to learn. You need to have the ability to research and to check your ego at the door. You do need an ego in this industry. You need to have an opinion. You need to have a thought process, and you need to be willing to put your foot down and say, "Hey, this is what I'm thinking. Let's try it." There are hills to die on, but you also need to be able to back off and recognize, "Hey, so my idea isn't the end all be all. These other ideas are worth considering." Check that ego. It's not about whether you're right or wrong. It's about doing the best you can for the brand and for what you're trying to accomplish, whether it be lead generation, website building, optimization of Google business profiles. There's always going to be a differing opinion, different things to test, and it's working with the team in order to make that happen. And if you're able to research and learn and grow, you're going to succeed. I think that comes to almost everything in life. Honestly, some places, like if you are an engineer who's working on a line, if you are a line worker in a factory, if you are in a hospital, chances are you have one very particular job that you're doing, and it's your job to be really good at that one thing. A marketer's job is to be able to do whatever comes up. I don't think my day is the same 2 days in a row. Would you? How similar are your days? Would you say? And I know you're less on the marketing
Weeks are
side of things,
different,
but
days are similar. Weeks are
yeah.
different, days are similar. Like this week is a lot of these email landing pages. It's going to be a
Mhm.
similar week throughout the entire week. But then next week, well, I won't be here next week. But then, like, if I was, I may have a different project that is going to look very different than like what I'm working on now. But like it's still then that whole week likely would be looking like that.
Yeah, and I will say that's definitely how things kind of come down. We work on a project by project basis. So we'll have a lot of like, hey, here's this project. We need 10 landing pages. Here's this project. We need 3 websites that are going to all be somewhat similar but different brands.
Yeah.
We want to do this, that, or the other thing. We need to do updates this week. We're working on security this week. And so it's being able to kind of swap to many different hats. I would say that's definitely one of the big skills. What would you say the biggest skills are? Like I'm sitting over here like research, thinking
So
you need to be able to check your ego. Where are you at?
um like say this is more of like less a skill and more just like a quality, but
Yeah.
and I'm gonna say this: empathy. And I don't mean
Mm,
like for like when someone feels bad, like, oh, I get it, I feel bad for them feeling bad. Like it's like being able to put yourself in their shoes and understand how they're feeling no matter what, or like what their opinions are, like the ability to get outside of your own, like, this is how I view things, this is how I feel about it, and then step into how does the public feel about this, how do consumers feel about it. Like, I know how I feel, but that doesn't necessarily mean everybody else feels that way. And I
yeah.
think that is huge to be like, it helps you to connect with people, which then follows into the next thing, which is communication, to be able
Yeah.
to uh, precisely, expertly tell people what they need to hear about the product is big. Um, and you're going to be able to do that better if you can deliver it in a way that aligns with kind of how they feel towards something, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
And I mean, more than anything else, I think these are just general. I'll be real. I translate almost everything back to general life skills of like, hey, work on your communication because it's extremely important that you're able to communicate. I want to be able to communicate to everyone listening that, hey, if you're a small business, I will talk to you for free and I will give you some advice on what might be useful for your small business. I've helped other small businesses. I've been doing it for years and I can do the same for you if you want to take that time. At the same time, I also want them to be confident in what I'm saying. I want them to be able to trust what I'm saying. And so I need to show that. It's not just, hey, these are the words that I'm going to say. It's here, my communication involves more than just words. Here's our stats. Look at our clients. Here's some of our history. Here's what we're doing. And I think that's part of what we're doing with these YouTube videos, with these lives, is hey, we're people. If you want to come view us, come look at us. And we're the ones who are going to be working on your website. We're the ones who are going to be helping you rank better on Google. And we're actively doing it.
Mm-hmm.
We're not hiding behind some, faceless channel or, a big conglomerate company. We're out here doing the business. And I think that's really, really, I mean, that's part of the communication. That's part of the authenticity. And I just think that's good for life in general. Like you need to be able to communicate those things.
Yeah. And being prepared, being thorough, like, is all part
Yeah.
of things that like really wrap into this. Like, yeah, you may be able to be like, okay, here's the bullet points of the things I want to say, and that, like, you may think you're being thorough, but it's like, no, the person who's being thorough is like, okay, here's the bullet points of the things I want to say. Now here are the data points to back up those things. You can
Yeah.
always go one layer deeper with like more information to provide, and the deeper you're willing to go with that, the more value you can give to your potential clients or clients.
Yeah. And you want to also be able to meet your clients where they're at. Like we're working with individual small businesses, so like we are on the level of, "Hey, what's going on? How are you doing today? Like what's going on this week? Oh, you're going to an event? That's awesome. I'm wishing you the best." It's almost a very personal relationship because we're working on the level with these small businesses. And they're coming to us with, "Hey, I'm looking at hiring some new employees. Like I'm a little bit nervous about that." I'm like, "Hey, you got this." Like we're there almost like a support network for them,
Yeah.
acting as like a sounding board for these new ideas. And that's I mean that takes a lot of trust. It takes a lot of good communication beyond just being able to convey your point, being able to convey your point in a way that they can understand it without feeling overwhelmed or like you're talking down to them. Cuz
the
talking marketing to non-marketers is crazy.
the best marketing pitch both
Yeah.
like seals your deal and builds a relationship.
Yeah.
That is the best marketing pitch you can have, because you want to leave that situation like, yes, I closed the sale, or yes, I've, like, I've gotten the message across that I needed to, but also I feel like I'm more able to talk to this person about things going forward because we've built this level of trust in our relationship.
Yeah. And I mean, there is a certain level of like, keep it professional. Some people, it depends on the person that you're dealing with, the company that you're dealing with. We deal with a lot of individual business owners, so it's a lot more personal. If
And
you're
that's
dealing
like,
with a big company, what was that?
and that's like where that empathy comes in, to be able
Yeah.
to like be like, okay, who am I talking to? What is it going to look like hearing what I'm going to say from their perspective?
Yeah. And I want to. I think we've meandered around this topic a little bit, but I want to get into it because I think different types of marketers require different skills. So, like, if you're going to be that empathetic marketer, you're going to be like a social media person. You're going to be that person who's dealing with social media. You're going to be dealing with writing content, those types of things. For affiliate marketers, I think you need a much more technically minded person. You need someone who can look at a system, who can look at flows and be like, this is what we're going to do, and they can get in and get it done. You need a self starter, you need a go getter. And I think that's much, much different than a social media person. I think
Yeah.
the skills are transferable, but I think they're two different people. What do you think about
Oh,
that?
no, I agree completely, because marketing is such a broad scope that it's like, what does it mean to be a marketer? It's like, well, first of all, we got to break down what type of marketer are we talking about.
Yeah.
You know, like is it print? Is it digital?
Oh,
Is it, is it
I didn't
social
even think
media?
about like
Like
print.
what are we doing? How are we promoting things? Like, are we putting out videos? Are we sending flyers? Are we emailing? Like, all of these things are handled differently. And who's one person who's good at one, it may translate to another, but it's not going to translate to all different forms of marketing. So yeah, ultimately it is a hard question to ask, what makes a good marketer. There may be some generic umbrella, these are things you should have for sure no matter where you're at, but to be the best marketer in what you're doing is going to be different than, doing a different type of marketing.
Yeah. And I honestly, the biggest takeaway for me is that being a marketer is a there are so many different hats that marketers wear. We're mainly problem solvers. That's the main thing that we do is, hey, any given day there's going to be a new problem. Any given week there's going to be a new thing to solve, a new thing to do. And I think it's almost a product of the internet itself, because the internet is constantly evolving and changing. Like, what goes into a website? How do you optimize for that? How do you optimize for AI? This is constantly evolving and changing, and we need to be able to figure that out. So getting something to rank with AI, you're going to need a marketer. You're going to need to do research. You're going to need to
Mm-hmm.
figure out what's going on and be able to look at all of that data, analyze that data, and come away with a conclusion. And I want to draw this back to being a small business owner, because if you're a small business owner, we're talking about all these different marketers. You almost need to be all of them. Like,
Yeah.
if you're going to start a small business, you need to think about writing a newsletter. You need to think about having a business card. You need to think about having a website and a Google business profile, and then an email newsletter, not just one in print. You need to think about possibly running a newspaper ad or putting an ad up on Google or Bing or Facebook, any number of these different places, these different ideas. And I think for small business owners it can get very overwhelming. So where would you start? Like, if you're a small business owner, you own a small business, what's the first marketing thing that you would want to learn, do you think?
So first things first, you got to look at what industry you're in. You
First thing
know,
first on the realist.
first things first, you got to be the realist. Then second thing second, you have to figure out what industry you're in,
100%.
because different marketing channels are going to be more effective in different industries. If you're like a small business but you're fully online, putting yourself in the newspaper probably isn't going to do as much as running a Facebook ad is going to do.
Your Etsy shop probably shouldn't have a newspaper ad. That's
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah.
But if you're a comic shop,
Yeah. See, and again, it's all about the industry that you find yourself
mhm,
in. If you're brick and mortar, if you have like a physical place that like you need people to be coming in, like yeah, you may do better with a newspaper. Or like if your demographic is, and I'm not trying to insult anybody here, but if it's like older people, newspaper would probably hit them better than Facebook ads would hit them. You know,
well, and
and
that's where you get into like customer avatars and stuff like that. So
yeah,
identifying who wants your product or service, who are the people that are going to pay for the thing that you have. We spend both Jordan and I, we're both huge nerds, so I think this is a great topic. When we talk about buying nerdy things like Magic the Gathering deck boxes or play mats or wall art and things like that, that our customer avatar is the people who go to Renaissance Fair and pay for Dungeons and Dragons content and all of that. So we're going to be hit with those marketing materials, those high end things. That's not necessarily how we should be advertising our credit repair services, because that's not
Yeah.
where we're at. We're not the two people who need credit repair. We're not the ads that are going to succeed. Now, maybe a Dungeons and Dragons based credit repair company would do well. Like, hey, maybe that's an intersection of people that is an interesting like customer avatar, but that's not where we would necessarily niche down right away. And I think figuring out where you're niching down, what your average customer looks like, and coming up with 2 to 3 of them, I think that's really important,
Yeah.
so that you can look at them and be like, hey, what are they doing? What do they do?
And then upon following what I had said there about like discovering your industry and what's going to be your best marketing methods, there are a few things that are like typical that you should do no matter what. And that's establish an online presence, even if it's
Yeah.
not as strong. If it is something brick and mortar and you don't need it as strong online, you still want it to be there, especially because brick and mortar means that you're going to have an opportunity to create a Google business profile. You're going to be able to get yourself up on Google Maps, which is going to help people to find your location. So that's obviously a big thing. Establish your online profile, be it website, Google business profile, social medias. Hit
Yeah.
there's what your big three, your big four of social medias. You know, you got your Facebook, your X, uh, Twitter, like
Instagram,
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn,
Yeah,
and that also comes down to what your brand should be on.
yeah.
Like, are you? I'm trying to think of the different brands, because, like, if you're an esthetician or a tattoo artist, you need to be on Instagram. If you are showing off, some type of service that you're doing on the daily, if you're a fitness influencer, whatever it might be, you need to be on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you are, I'm trying to think of an example, a SaaS. If you're offering a SaaS, do you need to be on Instagram? Maybe not.
Probably not. But like it's
It
also
might
one
not
of
be
those
necessary.
things that it doesn't hurt to be. You know, like
Yeah.
it's a presence that may help you get discovered. So like it
Hmm.
doesn't hurt to do it. So that would be one of the steps I would take. Also, no matter what industry you are in, Facebook is probably a pretty safe one to target just because like there's such a wide like you got the old people on Facebook, you got young people on Facebook. Young people maybe use other things more, but they are still using Facebook. So like it's a good place to be. There's a lot of industries that can thrive there. So that would be one of my checklists of things to get done.
Yeah.
And then the third thing on my list. So this is like figure out your industry, create your online presence. Third thing would be contact Good Rep Media. Let us get
Right here. We'll help you out. We'll go through the full checklist. We'll look at everything you've got. 100%. Lead right into that pitch,
schedule a
man. This
call.
is the
Do a
perfect
call with
pitch time.
Cody. Yeah, schedule a call with Cody. He can help you figure out what it is. Like if like I said some simple things there for step one and step two, but those can be very overwhelming to someone who has never done
Yeah.
it before. And if you find yourself overwhelmed at the thought of like what should be my next step to grow my business, talk to Cody.
Definitely. And the thing is, so come and chat with us. I will 100% be around and down to chat with you. I can look at what you've currently got going on and give you an idea of where you should be going next. I will say a lot of different places are at a lot of different steps in their online journey. We're detailing some of the very simple things like claiming your Google business profile, making a website. Some of those things are not so simple. Making a website is not the easiest thing in the world. I know that a lot of people are out there, they're like, my uncle can do it. My nephew made me a website and it works just fine. I promise you, most of those websites are probably not very great. They might work, and most people can figure them out, but there are difficulties. There are
There
nuances.
fashion and functionality are two totally different things. Your website might look real pretty, but there is a lot of things that go on behind that facade of your website that have to be done. And yeah, your 12-year-old nephew, he might know more than me. 12-year-olds are crazy these days.
They
But
honestly, 12-year-olds
but
are crazy these days. I wouldn't start talking about it. There's probably one 12-year-old listening, like, oh, I'm taking Good Rep
yeah,
Media
yeah,
down.
he's like he's gonna steal Good Rep right out from under us. He's gonna go to Joe and be like, "Hey, I can do better."
I can do better. Look at this.
Half the price, I could do their entire team's worth of stuff, and he probably can. But yeah, no, it's one of those things that it's like if you don't know what you are doing and like you want to pass it off to someone, it's one of those things that you should pass it off to a professional, not just someone you know that says they can do it. Unless, I mean, if those people can provide you with like schedule a free call with us, talk to us for free,
Yeah.
hear the information we can give you about what we're going to do for you, and then go talk to your nephew or your uncle or whoever it is that can build you a website and see, like, don't be like, hey, they mentioned this and this, can you do that? See if they are going to mention doing that stuff on their own, because if they don't even bring it up, it's like they probably don't know a lot about it.
Yeah.
So
And I mean, more than anything else, do bring it up to them. Let them know, hey, are you going to look at page title and metadata? Are you going to do all of this? And they can probably put it in ChatGPT. They can probably figure it out. The thing is, are they going to put in the energy and effort that you need and want for your business? And I want to draw this back to a conversation we had with one of our clients really recently, where we kind of dove in about hiring new employees and how scary that is when you're a single person owner. Because if you are running your business, you're the face of your business, and especially when you do all of the services, you control how good your services are. If you get a bad review, you know why you got that bad review. And when you get good reviews, you know it's because you gave great service. And you know how much you care about your brand, about your business. When you hire that first new employee, how much do they care? Not as much as you. I promise you that they do not care about your brand as much as they care about themselves and
yes.
their own success and where they're at. And
Right.
maybe they will eventually, maybe they will treat your brand like their own. I will say that's kind of where I'm at with Good Rep, like flat out. Good Rep, I came on, I'm like, okay, marketing agency, let's see where this is at. And now I'm like, okay, we built this up from the ground up. This is like my baby. I don't own it. This isn't my property, but I care about it a lot and I want it
Yeah.
to succeed. And
Yeah,
so
like,
maybe you will find an employee that gets there, but
and I feel that same way where it's like,
yeah.
and I'll have weeks where it's it is just
What
a
are we
job.
doing
I
here?
just got to do my job, and then there are weeks where it's like, no, this is like I'm like this is your thing. Like Good Rep is like your brand, but like I feel like I'm kind of like your right hand man in the company,
Yeah.
and so like I do want to see it succeed because it's a representative of what I can do.
Yeah.
And
And,
it makes me
and
happy to know that I did something good for the brand.
I think that's the really, really good point is being like, hey, when we succeed, when I see the lawn company getting a whole bunch of calls over the weekend and they're doing well, like I feel good because I'm like, we did that. We accomplished a thing and it's really, really cool to see. And it means we are somewhat good marketers.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I will say I made up some notes for this, and I wanted to touch on them just because I think they're really good.
You got
They're
plenty.
bad marketer pitfalls. Some of the things that marketers get in trouble with, and some of the things that you know marketers don't. How should I put it? I've known some marketers who focus on these things, and they're not very smart things. I just wanted to get into them to touch on them.
I love this. I already love it.
So I know one of my good friends has an extremely thorough and well established relationship with a page builder. I'm not going to get into it, but it's the only thing that he will use. It's the only thing that he knows how to use. And it has definitely been a bottleneck because it does not solve every single problem. Don't be platform dependent. You need to be able to do more than one thing. If you can only use one page builder, you're going to be in trouble. Can you have a focus? Yeah, 100%. We use Divi. That's our primary focus. Do we have other things to fall back on? Do we have other, page builders, other, builders that we can use and understand and know? Yeah, we do. We can go figure it out. Um, and I think that's really important. Same thing with running ads, same thing with anything that you're doing. Like if you only know one avenue to succeed, when that avenue gets shut down, you're going to get screwed over. And
Yeah.
that's not good.
Like a good reflection of that, if we look at like our parent company,
Yeah.
like Xanadu, they or Apello, whatever we're considered at this point, we have like our owner for years was like, we were like, you're jumping into all of these different spaces that like we're not making money on right now. And then
Hmm.
all of a sudden, like we were like, why were we doing this? And then all of a sudden our main sources of income like crashed on us. And then next thing
Yep.
we know, the owner actually looked like a little genius out there. He's like, look at now I've got us all diversified all around so that when this fell on us, when text messaging, kind of took a hit there, we had the means to stay afloat when a lot of other people weren't able to. And I think that shows the value of like getting out there and not just focusing on one thing that you know how to do and you can do it well, but that doesn't mean that is the only thing you should know.
Yeah. And it's worth noting, you getting that in-depth knowledge on those page builders or getting an in-depth knowledge on any software is definitely worth it. The main issue is when that is your sole source of income, when that is your sole source of leads or, you know, conversions, anything, traffic, that's not going to be a good situation. I want to get through the rest of these really quickly. It's the end of time. Thank you so much for joining us. But focusing on vanity metrics, when we name metrics here, they're real metrics. They're calls that the business gets. I don't know what a more real metric is. If I'm talking about impressions on a post, great, sure. How many likes did I get? How many clicks did I get? How many follows did I get? Use real metrics. And if people are going to give you vanity metrics, fake metrics, things that don't convert to actual income, don't listen to them because you can manipulate the stats to say whatever you want. And trust me, it's something that a lot of marketing agencies
So
do, and it really
ultimately,
pisses
it
me off.
comes down to what you're hired to do.
Yeah,
Am I being hired to get people to call and then you take over, or am I being hired to like make the sales for you, to like have people check out? It's all about the expectation that you have, but ultimately you need to make sure that expectation that they set for you, that they like the metric that they want is something that is measurable. Like
yeah,
I can't track how many people, I don't know, like called your number, but they called it because like they just saw it on like the front page of Google and they typed it in on their phone. Like they didn't click to call or anything. Like I can't measure that, but I can measure how many people went to the website and clicked call on that or sent an email or
yeah.
or if I have a page where it's like, hey, you can check out now. I can see how many people checked out, or massage book. We can see how many people set appointments for our client. We can, it
How
if
many
you
new
look
or
at
old
last week
appointments?
where we kind of talked about SMART goals,
Yeah.
if you remember us talking about that, the same thing should go towards what it is you're like what you're trying to achieve for your client. It needs to be
Hmm.
measurable. You need to be able to have a metric for it and deliver it to them.
Yeah, it needs to be measurable. Extremely important. And then the last two things really here. Don't copy competitors unless you understand what they're doing. We had that one guy try to copy our Cape Coral lawn care site, which I thought was super funny. I'll be curious to see how that's doing. Honestly, making a note to look into that. And then overcomplicating it. I think we talked about this along with Smart Kiss. Keep it simple, stupid. It's better to get it out there. Better to buy the website than sit there and be like, oh, should I have a .com or a .I buy the .com and be done with it. Make the decision, get it going. Don't agonize for forever. The decision paralysis will kill you. Anything on that?
Just on the .com versus .io thing, I don't really know a whole lot when it comes to it, but apparently, our boss, while he was at his convention recently, has been told by marketing professionals that .io will hurt it. So
Oh,
just know that. That's what I got. I saw a chat where Joe was like, "We're gonna get the .io," and then Angie was like, "So we're just disregarding everything we learned." So I'm assuming,
oh, so that was actually maybe we need to have another episode about getting into TLDs. So TLD is a top level domain. Those are the .io, .com, .inc. You have a bunch of those different dots that you get. Um, the issue is .io is owned by a private equity firm. It's not universal. So .com is universal. Anyone can own a .com. All of the .ios get registered with the same company or something like that.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like
and it's based
I
out of
didn't know the
UK, which is
details.
super
Like
weird.
I said, all I saw was Angie in the comments be like, "Hey, why are we doing what they just told us not to do?" So all I know is that they were told not to do it.
Sometimes you got to listen to the server guy. But hey.
Sometimes.
Thanks so much, everyone. This has been Lunch with the Good Rep Boys on the Joey Matterhorn channel. My name is Cody. I was joined by Jordan. Thanks so much for joining us here. Join us tomorrow at noon on the Good Rep Media channel. We're going to be talking about what was
Something.
it again? What was our
Something.
topic?
It was definitely about something.
You're talking about something. Oh yeah, SMS, email, and outreach for small businesses.
That's it. I knew that.
I've noticed some of our small business partners, they feel a little bit antsy whenever I'm like, "Hey, send out a text blast, send out an email blast." They're like, "Oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to bother people." Well, we're going to tell you to start bothering people tomorrow at noon.
Yeah, bother people. Bother people. Hey,
Bother them.
a little prelude for that. If you have their number to send them a text and you're doing it legally, they signed up to be bothered. Bother them.
Yeah, they literally asked you to bother them. The fact that you're not bothering them is kind of rude. But we'll get into that tomorrow. Join us at noon on the Good Rep Media channel. Thanks so much, guys, and we'll talk to you then.